Welcome back, guys. I hope you're doing well. Today we'll be looking at Napoleon again. Napoleon in Italy. We got Epic History TV. If you haven't seen the first one, the Battle of Toulon, go see that one first. We're going to watch every single Napoleon video on Epic History TV in chronological order. Of course, we got Italy first. Battle of Lodi in 1796. This is going to be fun for me because I really don't know much about any of the battles besides maybe bits and pieces. So a huge learning opportunity here for me, hopefully for you as well. Excited to kind of learn a little bit more about his Italian campaign. Let's just jump into it. Subscribe for this series. Let's jump in. Go.
Epic History TV, an Epic History TV PMF Productions collaboration. In 1796, at the height of the French Revolutionary Wars, a young French general took charge of a ragged, demoralized army in northern Italy. It was his first command. Many expected him to fail. Instead, in just 1 month, he won his first brilliant campaign. With astonishing self-confidence, boldness and energy, he led his army to victory after victory, transforming the war in Europe, winning praise from a grateful republic, and forging a legend. This is the story of Napoleon Bonaparte's first campaign, and the dawn of a new age.
Beautiful intro. I am so excited. By the way, what was the transition between he was a major, winning at Toulon, to kind of becoming a general of his own, campaign here in Italy? I can't remember the connective tissue there. If someone knows that, please put that below in the comments. It's gonna be fun. Little corporal. Okay.
1792. Europe is plunged into conflict by revolution in France.
Yep.
At first, it seems this infant republic will be quickly snuffed out by her neighbors. Incredibly, France clings on, thanks to mass mobilization, patriotic fervor, and her traditional military power. In 1795, France occupies the Low Countries, while Prussia and Spain withdraw from the war. But the French Republic still faces a powerful coalition of enemies, which includes the Austrian Empire and kingdoms of Piedmont, Sardinia, Naples, and Great Britain, as well as a counter-revolutionary revolt in the Vendée region of western France.
So many fronts, just chaos.
In Paris, the most extreme revolutionaries had been toppled, sent to the guillotine,
Yep.
as they had sent so many before them. France is now governed by the Directory, a more moderate five-man committee, which quickly wins a reputation for corruption and inefficiency.
Power vacuum.
Nevertheless, in 1796, they plan a major military offensive to knock their most dangerous adversary, Austria, out of the war. The two main efforts will be made along the Rhine by powerful armies under General Jourdan and General Moreau. A third effort, of which much less is expected, will be made in northern Italy.
Look at the difference in men too, like 20,000, 30,000 less.
The French Army of Italy is a poor cousin, starved of money and supplies, stripped of troops to reinforce French forces on the Rhine. But its fortunes are about to change.
Because of who you're gonna have in control.
On the 2nd of March, 1796, the Directory appoint a new commander to lead the army. One of France's youngest generals, Napoleon Bonaparte.
He was 24 during the Battle of Toulon. How old was he here? I love these. General's important talent is to know the mind of the soldier and to gain his confidence. He is not a machine that must be made to move. He is a reasonable hold on. He is a reasonable being who needs leadership. Napoleon was quite philosophical.
Napoleon arrives at the Army of Italy's headquarters in Nice on the 25th of March. He is just 26 years old.
Wow. By the way, for reference, I'm going to give away some information about myself. I'm 27, and I ain't never done nothing like this. I feel like I'm behind in life.
2 years have passed since he masterminded French victory at the Siege of Toulon. Since then, his fortunes have been mixed. A short spell as artillery commander in Italy, 10 days in jail when his political patrons fell from power. He then refused to serve in the Vendée, fighting French counter-revolutionaries, leading to several months' unemployment in Paris. Then, an extraordinary break. 13 Vendémiaire, Paris. A royalist mob threatens to storm the national government. Napoleon is the closest general to hand and put in charge of its defense. He disperses the crowds with brutal efficiency and is acclaimed savior of the revolution.
Yep.
A grateful directory promotes Napoleon to General of Division and awards him command of the Army of Italy.
What a turn of events.
On the 9th of March, he marries his great love, Joséphine de Beauharnais, and leaves for the front 2 days later. There are French generals in Italy with a better claim to command than Napoleon. Serrurier, a professional soldier who first saw action in the 7 Years' War, a decade before Napoleon was born.
Yeah, old.
Augereau, a tough, experienced soldier, bold tactician, and committed Republican. And Massena, risen from the ranks, fearless, tireless, hero of the Battle of Lodi against the Austrians the year before. All three would later become marshals of Napoleon's empire. For now, Napoleon seems to these veterans young and underqualified, a political appointment, embarrassingly infatuated with his new wife. But there is something about the Corsican. As Massena observed, his small size and puny face did not put him in their favor. But as soon as he donned his general's hat, he seemed to grow by 2 feet.
And wasn't he like 5'9"? Or was he 5'7"? Hold on, we're going to take a quick pause. We're going to figure this out. We're going to figure this out. ChatGPT, how tall Napoleon? A speed run that. He is 5'6". Okay, so, you know, that's average height. And especially for Europe in the 1800s, 1700s. I get it.
Napoleon impresses above all with his tireless energy. And he has much to do.
Ambition.
His army is organized into Massena's advance guard of 2 divisions, one led by a hard-fighting Swiss general La Harpe, and the other by Meunier, whom Napoleon soon decides is incompetent. The main body comprises the divisions of Augereau, Serrurier, and 2 smaller divisions under Macquart and Garnier. The cavalry is led by General Stengel. But the army of Italy has been shockingly neglected by the Directory. The men are hungry and unpaid, with a few units on the verge of mutiny. Some men don't even have shoes or muskets.
Crazy.
Napoleon inspects the troops and studies reports. He enforces discipline and breaks up rotten units. He is assisted by his aide-de-camp, Junot, Marmont, and a dashing cavalry colonel, Joachim Murat. As emperor, Napoleon will make 2 of these men dukes, and 1 a king. His most valuable assistant is his new chief of staff, General Berthier, who helps him to reorganize the army's supply system and scour southern France for food, transport, and forage. The situation begins to improve. But Napoleon knows what will really rejuvenate his ragged divisions.
Wins.
Victory in battle.
Yeah.
And the promise of plunder.
Promise of plunder, which means sacking a city? I want to lead you into the most fertile plains in the world, rich provinces, great cities will be in your power. They will find your honor, glory, riches. Soldier of Italy, will you lack courage or constancy? promises.
Napoleon has spent 2 years studying the situation in northern Italy.
Wow.
And the history of past wars here.
Very interesting.
He has developed clear plans on how the campaign must be fought. Now, he will put them into action. Napoleon, with 38,000 troops, outnumbers the Piedmontese and the Austrian army. But if they combine, he will be outnumbered, so he must prevent this at all costs. His plan bears all the hallmarks of what will become known as the Napoleonic art of war. A bold, rapid advance, not against the expected target, Genoa, but Dago. Here he will occupy the central position and prize his enemies apart. He knows that when threatened, the Piedmontese will retreat on their capital Turin, the Austrians on Milan. With his enemies divided, unable to support each other, he can defeat each in detail. Napoleon's plan will be aided by the fragility of the Austro-Piedmontese alliance. They regard each other with deep distrust after
It's a good look at seeing like how these soldiers looked and how they were equipped.
years of rivalry.
Very similar though.
The new Austrian commander, General Beaulieu, is experienced and was once considered energetic, but he is now 70 years old and does not know Italy. He is convinced the French will target Genoa, the port used by the British to supply their coalition allies. So much so that he rejects Piedmontese plans for close cooperation. Their troops remain scattered across mountain passes in a general defense against invasion. On the 4th of April, Napoleon moves his headquarters forward to Albenga in preparation for his offensive. But Beaulieu strikes first. On the 10th of April, Austrian troops take Voltri to disrupt the expected French attack on Genoa. The small French garrison falls back to join Massena's advance guard at Savona. But Beaulieu's fixation with Genoa is playing into Napoleon's hands.
They're gonna stay?
Dago, with its vital crossroads that link the Piedmontese and Austrian armies, is covered by just 8,000 men of Argenteau's corps. Mountainous terrain means Beaulieu can only march to Argenteau's aid via Acqui, more than 20 miles to the north.
Wow.
What's more, Argenteau has orders to take French positions at Montenotte as a diversion for the attack at Voltri. But the French cling on courageously. Corporal Roache particularly distinguishes himself, exposing himself to enemy fire to shoot down on the enemy. His commander, Colonel Rampont, tells his men, "Here we must conquer or die," a moment which quickly enters French military folklore.
Wow. Really cool.
It's the perfect setup for Napoleon. The enemy's attention is focused on Voltri, and Argenteau's corps has been left dangerously exposed.
They're gonna take
He
it.
swings into action, sending La Harpe's division to reinforce Rampont's troops, while Massena makes a tough night march across steep ravines in rain and fog to turn Argenteau's right flank. By dawn, the Austrians are outnumbered, outflanked, and under heavy attack. They retreat in disarray. Napoleon orders Massena to move on Dago, while he turns his attention to the Piedmontese. But Augereau's advance gets held up at Cosseria. The old castle is held by Piedmontese and Croatian grenadiers. The French launch frontal attacks into withering fire and suffer hundreds of casualties. When the colonel of the 18th Demi Brigade is killed, a 26-year-old Louis-Gabriel Suchet takes over command. "I have never seen fire like it," wrote Marmont, Napoleon's aide-de-camp.
A lot of young individuals being, I mean, comparatively no, but like Napoleon's influence is kind of seeping into the ranks now.
Despite heroic resistance, the hopelessly outnumbered garrison surrenders the next day.
Okay.
With Serrurier's division also advancing from the south, Piedmontese commander General Colli has little choice but to abandon his position at Montezemolo. The same day, under Napoleon's watchful eye, Massena takes Dago.
Wow.
But while La Harpe's division moves off to reinforce Augereau, hungry French troops left in Dago turn to plunder and pillage.
That's what he promised, too. They're just fulfilling
No
it.
one spots Colonel Vukasovic, a tough Croatian commander, approaching with 3,000 reinforcements.
Uh-oh.
He attacks at dawn, routing the French and retaking Dago with ease.
That's gotta
It
piss
requires the
Napoleon off.
recall of La Harpe's division and another day of heavy combat before Vukasovic can be driven out of Dago. A bayonet charge led by 27-year-old Colonel Lannes wins particular praise from General Bonaparte.
Young.
Napoleon has won 3 victories in 4 days. The marches and battles have been grueling, but he has achieved his first objective. The Austrians are regrouping at Acqui and will soon retreat to Alessandria.
Okay.
They can offer no support to the Piedmontese. And so General Colli orders another withdrawal to a strong defensive position behind the Corsalia River. Napoleon orders an immediate attack. Augereau's division on the right, Serrurier on the left, Massena in support. But the French, under heavy fire, struggle to cross the swollen river with its steep banks. When Serrurier's troops finally get into San Michele, they immediately begin looting the town and are thrown out by a counterattack. Despite his success, Colli is still heavily outnumbered and fears encirclement. The following evening, he begins a covert withdrawal to Mondovì. But Napoleon is not deceived by the fake campfires. Patrols confirm his suspicions. The Piedmontese are pulling back. Though his troops are exhausted, wet and hungry, he launches them after the fleeing enemy.
Wow. Morale. High.
Colli's troops are caught before they can establish a new defensive line. The brave and popular General Dicat is killed. Retreat turns to rout. The French enter Mondovì in triumph, where at last, briefly, they can eat and rest.
They need it. The 2 armies which lately attacked you in full confidence now fly before you in terror.
General Colli, his defeated troops scattered and demoralized, requests an armistice.
Oh.
Napoleon declines as his troops descend from the mountains into the fertile plain.
I didn't think that was about to happen. I thought it was like, all right, yeah, peace. All right, you guys just... No, he's like, ain't no time for armistice.
Of Piedmont. Destitute and starved, French soldiers now plunder the Italian countryside freely.
It's like pirates, almost.
Brigadier General Joubert is among those frustrated by the men's conduct.
Yeah.
Everything would go very well if the soldiers did not abandon themselves to pillage.
Napoleon kind of set the stage for that, though.
Not a day passes without some looters being shot. Despite this severity, the mania doesn't stop. The rural folk are arming themselves.
Yeah. Not a good thing. Discipline needs to be asserted. But like I said, Napoleon kind of set that stage.
Napoleon condemns such behavior.
Now he does.
But his orders have limited impact, especially as everyone knows Generals Massena and Augereau to be 2 of the greatest offenders.
Oh. Oh. Lead by example, shall we?
On the 25th of April, French troops enter Carrasco, just 30 miles south of the Piedmontese capital, Turin. Meanwhile, General Beaulieu is at long last marching to Piedmont's aid, but he is a week late. And when he learns that Piedmont has opened negotiations with the enemy, he withdraws his troops in disgust, planning to take up new positions along the Po River. Austrian troops join in the plunder of Piedmontese villages as they go.
That's crazy.
Victor Amadeus III, King of Piedmont Sardinia, sees no option but to accept Bonaparte's terms for an armistice.
Yeah.
Piedmont must give up the strategic fortresses at Cuneo and either Alessandria or Tortona, leaving the country virtually defenseless.
And think about that. He didn't even have to. He just had leverage there because he didn't even have to take Cuneo or Alexandria or Tortona. He literally just focused on a specific strategy, and then after that strategy, he was able to leverage out the rest of the cities. So he didn't have to have hundreds or thousands of men die for these cities that are circled right there. That's very interesting.
The final peace treaty, signed 3 weeks later in Paris, cedes Nice and Savoie to France, and grants free passage to French armies.
Of course.
Napoleon has ended the 4-year war with Piedmont in less than 3 weeks.
The directory is going to take notice of that. Soldiers, you have won 6 victories in a fortnight and conquered the richest parts of Piedmont. But soldiers, you have done nothing, for there still remains much.
The army of Italy has little time to rest on its laurels. 4 days later, having received 7,000 reinforcements and fresh supplies, it's on the move again. Napoleon plans to invade the rich province of Lombardy, ruled by the Emperor of Austria, and defeat Beaulieu's army.
Very ambitious right here.
But first he must cross the Po River, which is closely watched by Austrian forces. It will prove one of Napoleon's most brilliant maneuvers. Massena is ordered to make conspicuous preparations to cross the river near Sale, assembling boats and building gun batteries. Meanwhile, Napoleon has formed a new elite brigade, 5,000 grenadiers, carabiniers, and chasseurs to act as the army's...
Okay, we're gonna have to close captions because I want to know what he's saying. I don't know what. Grenadiers, carabiniers.
1,000 grenadiers, carabiniers, and chasseurs to act...
Okay. Those are just different archetypes. Got it.
Act as the army's advance guard under the command of General Dallemagne.
Okay.
This force is ordered to march rapidly east to Piacenza and cover 40 miles in just 36 hours. They are followed by La Harpe's division, then Augereau and the cavalry. Beaulieu receives reports that French troops are moving east and begins to redeploy his forces, while remaining conscious that there are still French troops that might cross the Po as far west as Valença. This uncertainty makes it impossible for him to concentrate his forces. What's more, he's completely underestimated the scale and speed of Napoleon's move. The French advance guard, with Colonel Lannes in the lead, crosses the Po on the 7th of May, chasing off Austrian patrols that are the only opposition. By the next morning, most of La Harpe's and Augereau's divisions and the cavalry are across, consolidating the French bridgehead, while Massena and Serrurier move to the crossing as fast as they can. Men of General Liptay's division are the closest Austrian troops. They take up defensive positions at Fombio, but are overwhelmed by the French attack. That evening, Beaulieu's advance guard arrives, expecting to reinforce Liptay. Instead, they blunder into La Harpe's division.
That's like a little bit of a chess move right there, you know? Feel like you have like a free passage and then whoop.
In confused night fighting, General La Harpe is shot dead, possibly by friendly fire.
Oh, man.
Napoleon regards him as one of the army's best generals, and his loss a great blow.
See, I'm glad it shows not, I mean, this hasn't been a clean sweep. It's been, you know, ups and downs. This has been trials and tribulations, whether it be the you know, the misconduct that they referenced, or right here.
Beaulieu, realizing that the French have crossed the Po in force and now threaten to cut him off, orders a rapid withdrawal east. Milan is to be sacrificed.
Wow. That's insane. Think about.
Great fortress of Mantua will be his next refuge. The French advance guard is soon in pursuit. On the morning of the 10th of May,
Lodi.
they catch the Austrian rearguard at Lodi.
What a good illustration.
French troops chase the Austrians across town and over the town's 200-yard bridge over the River Adda. But when they try to follow, they find the bridge is swept by fire from 14 guns. Its far end is held by 3 battalions of Croatian infantry.
Okay.
Several more battalions and cavalry squadrons are behind them in reserve, around 6,500 men in total. Napoleon soon arrives and positions guns to bombard the Austrians on the far bank. An artillery duel rages for much of the afternoon. Napoleon sends Beaumont's cavalry brigade upstream to look for a ford so they can cross the river and flank the Austrian defences. But he grows impatient. Massena's division has begun to arrive from the south, bringing his strength up to 15,000 men and 30 guns.
Brute force about to happen?
Napoleon makes a speech to the infantry, taunting them, daring them to take the bridge, then orders them forward. To cries of "Vive la République!" the hardened 2nd Carabinier Battalion.
I mean, you gotta have some guts to cross that bridge right there. Would you cross that bridge?
Leads the charge.
I don't know.
They come under torrential fire from the Austrian guns. But urged on by Napoleon, Berthier, Massena, Lannes and others, French infantry surge across, under and around the bridge. Faced with this irresistible onslaught, the Austrian front line crumbles. And with French cavalry across the river to the north, the rest of the Austrian rearguard begins an orderly withdrawal.
Wow. 4x. That's insane. Alright, what we got? I no longer regarded myself as a simple general, but as a man called upon to decide the fate of the people. Wow. Interesting.
Five days after his victory at Lodi, Napoleon leads his army into the city of Milan. They are welcomed by cheering crowds.
The art is
Though
interesting.
in reality, Italians are deeply divided in their attitudes towards the French.
Yeah.
After Lodi, French soldiers have a new nickname for their general, Le Petit Caporal,
A little corporal.
the Little Corporal. It's a term of affection because he gets his hands dirty, even aiming the guns himself, the job of an artillery corporal.
Really cool.
In just a month, Napoleon has transformed a war-weary, disheveled and demoralized army into a victorious fighting force, brimming with esprit de corps and eager for further conquests. While he, in his first campaign, has demonstrated extraordinary energy, mastery of detail, brilliant military intuition, above all, indomitable self-belief. It is this quality that inspires his soldiers to risk their lives for glory, for the Republic, and for the man they will one day acclaim their emperor.
Wow. Just pure cinema, guys. I think this is an amazing start to the Italian campaign. So much to unpack there too. We have, the Austrians, we have the Piedmontans. That's definitely not, they're definitely not called the Piedmontans, but let's kind of go back, just kind of see from the way of the land. I mean, they easily took Piedmont. I mean, they were able to kind of just like tease them a little bit and then kind of go with a distraction on in terms of the route of the troops, and then just overwhelming them at different points. Let's kind of go forward. Yeah, the Battle of Lodi, and they, Bonaparte did not have anything to do with these little candlelights, or what do you call it, campfires that they set up. He just went full force, chased them pretty much as far as possible, and then what was it? And then we got to, yep, right here. We got to the Po River, and they basically just moved all the troops down east, um, and they followed. They followed suit. So I think from here, I mean, like I mean, as long as he's got that discipline going when it comes to the troops, I think that everything stays intact. Of course, I'm saying it almost like it's not happened before yet, but interesting start to the Italian campaign is all I gotta say. Like, guys, this is cool to kind of learn a little bit more about the Italian campaign. Starting with his Battle of Lodi, but it wasn't just Battle of Lodi. Lodi just feels like the tip of the iceberg here. It was really to take Piedmont and to insert himself into Lombardy. Wow. Um, really cool. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll have more on this in the future. If you have a different video recommendation, leave it down below. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.